Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th Canto, Chapter 2, Text 45 has no purport. I'll read for myself. Evam sa viplavita sarvadharma dasya padi padito ghaya karmana nibatyamano nirayata vrita sadyo vimukto bhagavan namagraham. Ajamila was a Brahmana who, because of bad association, had given up all Brahminical culture and religious principles. Becoming most fallen, he stole, drank, and performed other abominable acts. He even kept a prostitute. Thus, he was destined to be carried away to hell by the order carriers of Yamaraja. But he was immediately rescued simply by a glimpse of the chanting of the holy name Narayana. Text 46. Natha parama karma nibandha kirtanam mumukshitam tirtha padanu kirtana ayat puna karma sajjate mano rajastamo bhyam kalilam tatonyata. Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Those who desire freedom from the material bondage should adopt the process of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, form, and pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at whose feet all the holy places stand. One cannot derive the proper benefit from other methods, such as pious atonement, speculative knowledge, and meditation in mystic yoga, because even after following such methods, one takes to fruitive activities again, unable to control his mind, which is contaminated by the base qualities of nature, namely passion and ignorance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It has actually been seen that even after achieving so-called perfection, many karmic, jnanis and yogis become attached to material activities again. Many so-called swamis and yogis give up material activities as false, jagan mithya. But after some time, they nevertheless resume material activities by opening hospitals, schools, or performing other activities for the benefit of the public. Sometimes they participate in politics, although still falsely declaring themselves sannyasis, members of the renounced order. The perfect conclusion, however, is that if one actually desires to get out of the material world, he must take to devotional service, which begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Bhagavatam 7.5.23. Chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. The Krishna consciousness movement has actually proved this. In the Western world, many young boys who were addicted to drugs and who had many other bad habits which they could not give up, abandon all these propensities and very seriously engage in chanting the glories of the Lord as soon as they join Krishna consciousness movement. In other words, this process is the perfect method of atonement for action performed in Rajaha and Tamaha, passion and ignorance, as stated in Bhagavatam 1.2.19. Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha dayasche chetayetayana viddham sitas sattve prasiddhati. As a result of Raja and Tama, one becomes increasingly lusty and greedy. But when one takes to the process of chanting and hearing, one comes to the platform of goodness and becomes happy. As he advances in devotional service, all his doubts are completely eradicated. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshaya. Thus the knot of his desire for fruitive activities is cut to pieces. Thus in the Bhaktivedanta purport. So we are coming to the end of this chapter. Ajamila, delivered by the Vishnu Dutta, till 3 more verses are there. The first verse, which had no purport, it is basically summarizing what we have been discussing all this right from the beginning of this chapter. Ajamila was a Brahmana who, because of bad association, had given up all Brahminical culture and religious principle. Becoming most fallen, he stole, drank, and performed other abominable acts. He even kept a prostitute. Thus, he was destined to be carried away to hell by the order carriers of Yamaraja, but he was immediately rescued simply by a glimpse of chanting of the holy name Narayana. So we have been hearing in the chapter how Ajamila, just by calling out his son's name Narayana, he was rescued by the Vishnu Dutas. And we saw in the last verse also how he was taken by a golden airplane to the spiritual world. The next verse, it is mentioned that, therefore one who desires freedom from material bondage should adopt the process of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, form, pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Ajamila pastime, it demonstrates the power of chanting the holy name of the Lord, hearing the holy name of the Lord, and glorifying the name of the Lord. So again and again Bhagavatam is bringing out, because this is very important to understand, because day in, day out we are chanting, we are hearing, we are engaged in these activities, but we should have that strong conviction. No other process. That's why the second verse says, all not by karma, not by jnana, we cannot achieve the perfection. Correct? So, this demonstrates the potency of the holy name. Knowingly, unknowingly, if somebody chants also, he will get the benefit. Actually, in the first verse, simply by a glimpse of chanting the holy name of Narayana, refers to glimpse in many places it comes. It's actually a nama bhasa. It's not a purified chanting. It's just a clearing stage. We know offensive stage. We are all, when we are take to chanting Hare Krishna, initially we are all committing a lot of offense. The next stage is clearing stage. That is the glimpse of chanting the holy name of Narayana. Then our nama becomes purified if we follow all those rules and regulations which we have been hearing from the soulful japa. Then we will come to the pure stage of chanting Hare Krishna. But simply the glimpse of chanting the holy name of Narayana, Ajamila was rescued. So this should give us a lot of confidence. And if we just sincerely try, attempt to chant as nicely as possible, then we can also achieve the highest perfection. So Prabhupada in the purport he writes, the perfect conclusion, however, is that if one actually desires to get out of material world, first of all, we should be aware of what is material world, what is spiritual world, and we should be aware of how to get out of this material world, correct? He must take to devotional service, which begins with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So, material world, we have been hearing, it's a place of misery, and we have to get out from this material world. The only process recommended is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Navavida Bhakti, actually, which Prahlad Maharaj quotes in the Bhagavatam. So, because what happens when we come into this material world, we are all conducted by three modes of material nature, three guna. Nobody can escape. That's why we see varieties of people, varieties of men all over the world. No two persons are same. Why? Because we are all having different permutation, combination of these three guna. So material world, so one has to come to the platform of goodness. So that's why Prabhupada is quoting this verse from the Bhagavatam. Sita sattve prasiddhati tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha deyashe. So this starts from the previous verse, actually that 5 verses, 1.2.17 to 1.2.21. The very, very 5 important verse actually in the Bhagavatam. In fact, the second chapter of the first canto, all these verses, maybe 28 or 29 verses are the very, very important. That is the foundation actually. Because we know in the first canto, the sages of Naimisharanya assembled and they were asking, Sutta Goswami was speaking for the second time. So he begins to answer because Sutta Goswami heard from the conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. First verse of the second chapter, it says, it's a wonderful question, what do you ask, all these things. And then it starts with. So 17th verse, we are all very familiar with this 5 verse. In fact, in the Jaladuta ship also, that song, Prabhupada mentioned these 5 verses actually. It starts with Shrinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. So, we have to be trained in devotional service. So Prabhupada gives the example, just like in the circus, even the ferocious animal like tigers, they are trained. And when they come and perform, they are very obedient to the master. Whatever the master says, tiger follows. Tiger normally will not do that, correct? In the forest or anywhere. Now and then we hear in the news actually, cheetah comes and is just swallowed. It will not bother for anybody. They will just swallow anybody. But if they are trained, then they also dance according to the tune of the master. So Prabhupada says, by training, even tigers become obedient. In circus, they play obediently to the order of the master. So we are going through this training process. That is sadhana bhakti actually. We are chanting, hearing, all under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So this guidance we have to strictly follow. And Bhagavatam, in the last chapter also we read, when Parikshit Maharaj was asking this question, he was very concerned, correct? In the 5th canto, at the end of the 5th canto, different kinds of hellish planets were described. So Parikshit Maharaj, out of compassion, is asking Sukadeva Goswami how these people can be relieved from going to hell, saved from going to the hellish planet. So different process we read in the 1st chapter, the same canto. So it started with tapasa, brahmacharyana, samena cha, dhamena cha. Tapasa, austerity is very important. Brahmacharya, celibacy life. Samena, dhamena, controlling of senses and controlling of mind. These are all very important. Again and again, this is brought out, controlling our senses and mind. So this training is required. So when we follow the process, automatically because we know we have taken so many births, so many vasanas, so many desires are sitting here. So to come out of that, this training is very important. So Prabhupada says, austerity, celibacy, controlling mind, senses. So this is a gradual process in those purport Prabhupada writes. So this is a gradual process, step by step it's going on. So why? Because it's a slow process. Because a lot of things we have to do in this. But another process, the second process Prabhupada mentioned is bhakti yoga there also actually. Or devotional service. Because devotional service, directly we are getting into rendering service to the Lord. So Prabhupada gives the example, just like if you want to go to 100th floor, there are 2 ways. You can climb floor by floor and you will reach 100th floor hopefully. Or one more very easy and quick process is to take an elevator, to take a lift and immediately transported to 100th floor. So Krishna consciousness is like that. When we are in this material world, actually our material life began with this knot. Prabhupada in many places he explains this. The heart, that is actually we have that sexual desire. Every man is hankering for woman and woman is also hankering for man. This is not only in the human society, in the animal society, in the bird society, beast society. This is common. So material world, anybody who is there, this is the central point, Prabhupada mentioned, correct? This is the central point of attraction. So when we practice this Krishna consciousness, automatically we can give up this attachment. These anarthas will slowly go away. Because it is, since time immemorial, we are doing the same thing. Correct? And to get out of this is not easy. But if we have faith in the process, which Srila Prabhupada has given based on the Vedic literature, that is, there are 2 things goes on parallelly, correct? We should cultivate Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says in one place, and try to give up this anarthas or unwanted habits. We should cultivate Krishna consciousness. Satam prasanga, in that Bhagavatam verse also, tajoshanat, it is mentioned. We have to cultivate, we have to carefully, just like the gardener is very careful when he is putting the seed, before that he is making the soil fertile, he is putting the seed, he carefully waters daily. So similarly, we have to also, our process is chanting and hearing. So this is, Prabhupada says, these two things must go in parallel lines. Just like when a person gets disease, we go to a physician, the doctor prescribes some medicine and he gives what all things we should take, we should not take, correct? So similarly, we also, we are all in disease condition. So when we take to chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, our process is chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and taking Krishna Prasadam. So just by doing this, actually we get purified. So then we'll come to Sattva Guna. Sattva Guna, a mode of goodness, is a good platform for us in this material world. Because Raja Guna and Tamo Guna, like Prabhupada writes in the purport, also that it will, because we'll have more and more desire, anchoring, greediness. These are the two, Lobha and Kama and Lobha. Kama means desire and lusting, lust, and Lobha means greediness. So this we cannot give up. So otherwise we'll be bound up in this material world, and when we are bound up in this material world, we will be under the influence of karma again and again. That's why we keep on taking different birth again and again. We cannot stop it unless we take to the process of devotional service. Karmani nirdahati kintucha bhakti bhajan. This karma can be stopped or modified. Prabhupada also says, only by the process of devotional service. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult. So, then Prabhupada says, to stop this, the process is, we have to just work for Krishna. Yajnartat karmana anyatro loko ayam karma bandhana. Any work we do in this, because in this material world we have to work. Everybody is working. But that work is causing him bondage again and again. That's why we take different types of body. Yajnartat karmana anyatro loko ayam karma. Krishna himself says this in Karma Yoga chapter. So if you want to get mukti from that, we have to act only for Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So, Prabhupada in one lecture says, as soon as we deviate from devotional service, immediately Maya is there to capture us. So we have to be very strict. We have to be very alert. Not that 4:30 to 9:30 I have done my sadhana, then I go on with whatever. No, it doesn't, not like that. Throughout the day, every moment it should be pervading in our life. That is Krishna consciousness. Correct? Prabhupada says, right from morning you get up till you go to take rest in the night, we have to be always Krishna consciousness. Chant, read, work for Krishna, do different practical service, menial service. So we have to be engaged. Otherwise, Maya is right there. Maya is not far away. The moment we are little trying to relax, okay, I've gone through morning, I'm feeling very tired, let me relax for a while. Sometimes it happens, okay? Our body you can take rest and all. But sometimes you will not even know, you would have slept for 2-3 hours like that actually. Unless somebody don't come and wake you up. So we have to be very careful, we have to be alert. Because we are sitting on the razor's edge, Kurashadara. Like that, these instructions are given in the scripture. So the point is, Prabhupada said in that lecture, if we become Krishna consciousness, not that somebody has to certify us, whether somebody is Krishna conscious or not. Automatically, these two things will not disturb us, kama and lobha. So we need not ask certificates from somebody, whether I'm Krishna conscious, whether I'm progress. We ourselves will know. We can't cheat our way to Krishna, correct? So so it will go just by chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada there also is there. So our process is chant Hare Krishna. Minimum 16 rounds, Prabhupada asked us to chant. And we have to follow these 4 regulative principles. Just by doing these 2 simple things, actually we can be freed. Like Prabhupada also in many places, he says, just by doing this, I'll take you back home, back to Godhead. See, on our own, we cannot do anything. We are all so small. When a pure devotee recommends our case, then we have some hope. So, to attract his attention, we have to do this. That's why Bhagavatam says, Shrinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. So, Prabhupada, he writes in a place, hearing about Krishna, all dirty thing within our heart is almost clean and we'll come to the stage of goodness. The translation is also that. So that process, Shrinvatan Swakata Krishna, next is Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. Daily we have to read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, we have to hear, we have to discuss. So we have got a very nice opportunity, correct? All of us have got this nice opportunity. So we should be engaged in this thing. Then actually Prabhupada says, world is moving by this Rajoguna and Tamoguna, lust and greediness. That's why you see a lot of activities right from the morning. Because of the lockdown, everybody is forced to sit at home. But working from home has become a big pattern now actually. And we hear that most of them are telling they are working more hours. Because company will not give salary easily like that, correct? So your travel time is also saved. So that also you are working like ass actually. That's what is happening. Yeah. So just like today, particularly IT industry and all, they are all working in different time scale, correct? So some companies are British-based companies, some companies are American-based companies, some companies following China, their bosses are in China. So all their timings, so what we are supposed to do in the morning, they'll be sleeping this time actually. Because full night they work, just like night shift it has become in a factory. So it's like that. So we are all so fortunate, we have got this nice opportunity to just engross ourselves in chanting and hearing, and particularly the morning 5 hours, our sadhana, we should not be bothered about anything. Just concentrate on this thing. How nicely Prabhupada has given this process. Of course, somebody may have some service, Krishna conscious service that time. Yeah, that you have to do. Otherwise, we should just focus on this. Prabhupada gives the example. Just like these people get salary, they are not satisfied, they want more. That's why all the strikes and unions and all are there. Correct? So they are getting, because today say somebody is earning 20,000, he is aiming I should get 50,000. And he works hard, he gets 50,000. Still he is not satisfied. Still he comes, they are all under union, and again they want more salary. Because they greed. Because when you have more money, you have more purchasing power, you can enjoy your senses more. Because they do not know, Prabhupada, they do not know anything beyond this. Material world is designed like this actually. So this is the role of Maya. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya durattaya. The divine energy of Lord. Nobody can escape. Mamevai prapadyante mayamitan. If you surrender to Krishna, then only we can easily cross beyond this. So the process of surrender is that we have to just take to chanting and hearing, and we should be absorbed in rendering service to the pure devotees mission. This is very practical. All of us are engaged in that. Correct? Everybody is contributing for Srila Prabhupada's mission, this Hare Krishna movement. So, when we do that, purification starts happening actually. So, we all know before joining how we were. Correct? After joining, after taking to this process, something is happening. Correct? Otherwise, we can't go on, we can't stick. Something nice is happening that too. Everything is so nice here. So, then Prabhupada says, and rendering service to a pure devotee's mission, our bhakti becomes strong and fixed up. Nishtha, we'll come to that stage of fixed bhakti. Otherwise, initially when we are practicing bhakti, we have got all these ado, shraddha, tada, sadhu, sangata, bhajana, kriya. Till anartha nivrti is not cleared, all the unwanted desire, unnecessary desire are not cleared, we will not come to the stage of nishtha. And if we don't come to the stage of nishtha, we can fall down from the spiritual practice. So we should aim for that nishtha. Then further we will get taste and other things. So in the purport, Prabhupada writes, correct, today's purport is quoting the two verses from the Bhagavatam, 1.2.19 and 21 also. At the end, Prabhupada says, as he advances in devotional service, all his doubt are completely eradicated. So we should try to move on slowly. Just be here and follow. That's all. Nothing else. We will advance. That's what. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sa. And it's samshaya, no doubt. So if we follow this process, it will work. It will work on anybody. Thus, the knot of desire for fruity activity is cut to pieces. Because basically, right now when we are acting, all of us have this tendency, correct? Fruity mentality is there. I work, I want to get some fruit. I want to get some result. That's why we are here. But whether we get positive result or negative result, when we work for Krishna, it's actually positive only. Devotional service is all positive result. We are all benefiting, whether if we don't get external result also. But if we follow this process, Krishna to enthuse us, he'll give result also. Just like I remember when we are going in the early days for book distribution, we used to go to Majestic. It's a very floating crowd, keeps on going, always evergreen. Actually, 5 devotees we used to go, all coming from 2 or 3 from IIT, and I was one, and like that 5 of us were going. And from morning, we'll go after the morning program, we'll take prasadam. Those days not much vehicle and all. We used to carry books in the hand and we used to go to Majestic. They're all big. All these other devotees, they were all well trained, they were in IIT, they were practicing Krishna Kanji, all these things. And if you see, when we are going for book distribution there, and everybody is fired up, correct? We are bhakta actually. We'll immediately, we want to preach, and there are so many people keep coming and going. All these things. So we'll say, Parampara, this is the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, this is the bona fide, all these things used to say. But you see, till evening, hardly we would have sold any book. Because temple presence was not there. ISKCON was not known that much. It was known, but not that much in the early 90s, correct? And before we'll plan and wind up, we have to come back because evening we have to attend Sandhya Arti and program, Bhakta class, all these things. Just about to close the shop, wind up all the book, packing, and we'll get some 3-4 Bhagavad Gita will go. Otherwise, throughout the day, we would have sold some small book, Raja Vidya, some coming back, like that. So, Krishna will give result like that because tomorrow we have to again go and stand there, correct? Otherwise, actually, when we don't get result, because we are all born and brought up like that, we have the tendency, result, we are all seeking result. So it happened like a miracle like that. Oh, we'll be doing, and all our big guys actually devotees. Very good philosophy. So all this thing, it doesn't matter for public, no? So even a small book, if you distribute, it's a big thing. See, now today you see, by Prabhupada's arrangement, so many books are going here. So many avenues are there, automatically it's going. So by doing that, we'll become fixed up. And in the purport, Prabhupada write, Vidam means piercing and pinching, these words Prabhupada uses. Anaviddham. So if our heart is cleansed, then kama and lobha disappears and we become joyful. So this is the proof. Sata sattve prasiddhati. If you are not joyful, if you are not feeling happy in Krishna consciousness, something is lacking actually. So we should be joyful. The process is like that. Susukam kartam avayam. Krishna also says, it is joyfully performed. So, that stage will come. Krishna also describes at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na Soshati Kanna Kankshati. When we come to, so we have to come to that spiritual platform. If we are in the material platform, all these things will be pinching us. So if you come to the spiritual platform, Brahma Bhuta na Soshati na Kankshati. He will not hanker for anything, nor he will be lamenting if something goes away from him. So that is spiritual platform. So these are some of the points in this verse. So we are coming to the end of this chapter. So again and again you see this point is brought out, how devotional service or bhakti is the only way and by which we can achieve all perfections. Prabhupada, today's purport, that sentence is very striking. The perfect conclusion, Prabhupada, before that he is talking about karmi, jnanis, yogis. They are all attached to material activities again. Then Prabhupada is saying, the perfect conclusion, however, is that if one actually desires to get out of the material world, he must take to devotional service. So we are all fortunate, we have got this, so we should be very careful to protect our Bhaktilata Beach just by following these instructions, and we will come to that stage of predominantly, because in the material world, we are always in the permutation combination of Rajoguna, Tamoguna and Sattva-guna. At least more of Sattva-guna should be there in all of us. Then we can understand all these things more clearer. I'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.